I'd like to welcome you to today's episode of Perspectives on Faith. And our guest today is Professor Scott Alexander of the Catholic Theological Union in Chicago. His expertise is Islamic studies, and Scott is going to speak with us today about Christian-Muslim dialogue and his program at CTU. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you, Marcia.
I'd like to hear about the beginnings of your interest, both in Islamic studies and then how you broadened that into Christian-Muslim dialogue, or did they come together?
Good question. Personally, when I was an undergraduate, I matriculated to college in 1979 in September. And just a few months later, in November of 1979, the American Embassy in Tehran was taken by a group of students, and that was really the first time that Islam and the Muslim world really even made the radar screen of most people in North America, especially the United States. And what I was fascinated by was I was a comparative religion major, and I was taking a course, Introduction to Islam, and what I was fascinated by was the tremendous gap between what I was seeing in terms of media coverage of this very important event in a very important part of the Muslim world, and what I was learning in my class. What I was seeing in the media was a lot of stereotypes, kind of crude generalizations that weren't really giving people any insight into why this was happening. And what I was learning about in class was a very rich religious tradition that was the heart of an even richer civilization that was just fascinating on so many different levels. So I became interested in Islamic studies, and I moved my focus from largely looking at early Christianity, patristics and New Testament, to that and Islamic studies. And the opportunity to go to graduate school and do some graduate work in Islamic studies presented itself, and one thing led to another. And I ended up at Columbia University doing my PhD in Islamic studies. My first job, however, was at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. And that was really teaching on the religious studies faculty there and teaching courses on Islamic studies primarily. And one of the things that it didn't afford me an opportunity to do, really, was to sort of bring together and integrate these two halves of myself in my professional life. The part that was passionately interested in Islam and in many ways in love with Islam as a religion and Islamic cultures and etc. And then the part of me that was sort of deeply rooted in my own religious tradition as a Roman Catholic Christian. And an opportunity came up in 2000 to take a position at Catholic Theological Union here in Chicago, which is actually the largest Roman Catholic graduate school in theology and ministry in the U.S., because they wanted to start a Catholic Muslim studies program. And that was to be a sister program, a junior sister program, to the established program in Catholic Jewish studies that had already existed. And it was an exciting offer because this institution, Catholic Theological Union, is not too old. It's celebrating its 40th anniversary this year in 2007, 2008. And it was born, therefore, in the wake of the Second Vatican Council, which was, in the history of the Catholic Church, a watershed moment because it addressed a number of different issues about how the Catholic Church can really engage the modern world and modernity and all the various challenges and blessings that come with an increasingly globalized human family, a globalizing human family. And interreligious dialogue, reaching out to people of other faiths, particularly those two faith traditions closest to our own, that of Judaism and Islam, was identified by the Second Vatican Council as a very, very important part of what the Church should be doing in terms of its attempt to engage more fruitfully in the modern world and with the modern world. And so for the last 7 years, I've had the privilege of trying to put down the roots of this program in Catholic Muslim Studies at Catholic Theological Union.
Well, it sounds like a pioneering and a really exciting program, But what do you actually do in this program? What do you teach, and who are your students?
Good question. The program really has two prongs to it. The first is to enhance the curriculum at the school with courses in Islamic studies and Christian-Muslim relations. And the second is more outreach for public education, hold conferences, publish books from those conferences in an attempt to just have an impact on the wider society. Our students come from 43 different countries around the world. And many of the countries that our students come from are countries where there is a sizable Muslim population or even a majority Muslim population. We have many students from Indonesia, southern Philippines, Nigeria, some parts of the Arab world, etc. And what we have found was that the context here in Chicago, which, as you know, is very friendly in some ways to interreligious dialogue on a number of different levels, provides these students with an opportunity to learn about the potential for Christian-Muslim relations in an environment that's relatively safe. May be able to do things and explore issues and dynamics in this context that they can't necessarily explore in a home context, where perhaps tensions might be, slightly higher between the communities than they are here. The courses we teach are variegated. We're really happy that now most of the courses in the program are jointly taught by myself and a Muslim colleague. So we have a course in the history of Christian-Muslim relations. We have a course in Islamic revival and reform movements. We have a new course called The Message and the Messenger, which basically devotes about 5 weeks to the seerah, to the life of the Prophet Muhammad, and then about 8 weeks to the Quran. And we also have a course in Islamic spirituality and mysticism, which focuses on the Sufi traditions. So we have a broad range of courses. The other course we have that is actually part of the core curriculum of the school is called Abraham's Children. And that's a course which is sponsored actually by both the Catholic Jewish and Catholic Muslim Studies program. And it's a course taught by 3 faculty members, one Christian, one Jewish, and one Muslim. And we focus on a variety of different themes, but we look at them across the 3 traditions as a way of better understanding the potential for our traditions to relate to one another. What's been the historical dimensions of that interaction, and what's the potential for future interaction.